The signing ceremony took place on the neutral station orbiting Neptune. Ambassador James Walker stood at the ceremonial table, his face showing perfect diplomatic calm. Across from him, the Krex delegation moved with their strange, fluid grace. Their leader, Commander Vex, extended a crystalline appendage holding the treaty stylus. "This marks a new era," Vex announced through the translator. "The Krex Empire and Earth shall know peace." Walker smiled, consigned the document. The crowd of human and alien dignitaries erupted in polite applause. Camera drones captured the historic moment for broadcast across both civilizations. The war that had lasted 3 years was finally over. Or so everyone believed. In the depths of Mars, hidden beneath the red dust and ancient craters, General Robert Stone watched the ceremony on multiple screens. His command center buzzed with activity. Officers moved between stations, checking data streams and updating tactical displays. The real work had begun 5 years ago, long before the first Krex ship appeared in human space. "Sir, all hidden fleets report ready status," Major Lisa Park reported. "Operation Silent Thunder is prepared for activation." Stone nodded slowly. Humanity had learned its lesson from history. Every peace treaty with a superior force was just a pause before conquest. The Krex thought humans were weak, exhausted from the war. They thought the treaty would give them time to position their forces for the final blow. They were wrong. The first contact with the Krex had seemed friendly enough. They came offering trade and technology, but human intelligence services had intercepted their communications. The translations were clear. Humans were marked for slavery, Earth for colonization. The Krex Empire had done this to dozens of species. Pretend friendship, sign treaties, then strike when the target lowered its guard. But humanity had played a longer game. While politicians talked peace, Earth's real military had been building in secret. Not just ships and weapons, but something more. They had studied every piece of Krex technology they could capture or steal. They had found the weakness. "The Krex don't understand us," Stone said to his staff. "They see our arguments in the UN, our messy democracy, our public protests against war. They think we're divided and soft." Lieutenant Tom Bradley looked up from his console. "Sir, our agents report Krex fleets are already moving to their staging positions. They plan to attack in 6 months." "They won't get the chance," Stone replied. "How many of their ships have accepted our peace gift of navigation updates?" 90%, sir. They're installing our software as we speak. They think it's to help coordinate trade routes." Stone allowed himself a rare smile. The software was humanity's Trojan horse. Months of secret development had created a virus perfectly designed for Krex systems. It would lie dormant until activated, then shut down their entire fleet simultaneously. Back on the neutral station, Walker shook hands with various delegates. He played his part perfectly, the relieved diplomat who had achieved peace. In his earpiece, a tiny voice whispered updates from Earth Command. Everything was proceeding as planned. The Krex had made one fatal error. They judged humanity by the same standards as their previous victims. They saw the public face of human society, the debates, the peace movements, the seemingly naive hope for cooperation. They didn't see the steel underneath. They didn't know that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years and had learned every dirty trick in the book. More importantly, they didn't know that humanity had been preparing for this moment since before first contact. Earth's deep space sensors had detected the Krex approaching years before they arrived. Humanity had time to prepare, to plan, to build hidden armies in the darkness between worlds. As Walker left the ceremony, he passed by a window showing the stars. Out there, invisible to scanners, 200 human warships waited in stealth mode. They were just one piece of humanity's real fleet, a force 10 times larger than what the Krex believed existed. The treaty was signed. The Krex believed they had won without firing another shot. In 6 months, they would learn the truth. Humanity had not sued for peace from weakness. They had signed the treaty to draw the enemy close, to make them overconfident. The war wasn't ending. It was about to truly begin. 3 months after the treaty signing, the Krex Empire celebrated their coming victory. In their great halls on the homeworld of Kresia, the ruling council gathered to review their positions. Elder Zack stood before the strategic display, his tentacles tracing the positions of their fleets. The humans suspect nothing, Zack declared. Their military has been downsizing as promised. Their colonies have reduced defenses. In 3 more months, Earth will be ours. The other elders rippled with satisfaction. The conquest of Earth would add another jewel to their empire. Human workers would serve in their mines. Human technology would be absorbed, and Earth itself would become another Krex colony world. But they didn't know about the asteroid belt. Hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids, humanity's true fleet waited. Captain Maria Rodriguez commanded one of these ghost ships, a Thunderstrike. Her crew had been living in silent running mode for 2 years, building their ship piece by piece inside a massive asteroid. From the outside, it looked like just another space rock. Inside, it was one of the deadliest warships ever built. "Captain, we're receiving the coded signal from Earth Command," her communications officer reported. "Phase 2 is beginning." Rodriguez felt her pulse quicken. Phase 2 meant the Shadow Fleet would begin its secret deployment, moving only when hidden from Krex sensors, using the gravitational shadows of planets and moons. They would position themselves at key points throughout the solar system. On Earth, the public continued their normal lives. The peace treaty had brought relief to billions. Trade with the Krex had resumed. Cultural exchanges were happening. It all looked perfectly genuine because most humans didn't know the truth. Only a select few in the highest levels of government and military knew about Operation Silent Thunder. General Stone had insisted on this secrecy. "The best lie is the one you believe yourself," he had said. "Let our people celebrate peace. The Krex will see genuine relief and joy. They won't suspect. It's a performance by the few who know the truth." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that didn't exist on any map, Dr. Alan Harper made the final adjustments to humanity's secret weapon. It wasn't a bomb or a beam weapon. It was something far more subtle and devastating. A quantum disruption field that would interfere with the Krex's biological neural network. The Krex were a hive-minded species. They shared thoughts across their empire instantly through quantum entanglement in their brain cells. It was their greatest strength, allowing perfect coordination. But Harper had found a way to turn it into their greatest weakness. "When we activate this field, every Krex in the solar system will be cut off from the collective," Harper explained to his team. "They'll experience something they've never felt before, being truly alone in their own minds. The psychological shock alone will incapacitate them for hours." Meanwhile, the Krex continued their preparations, blissfully unaware. They moved their ships into attack positions around Earth's colonies. They positioned their ground forces on their transport ships. They even sent diplomatic messages to Earth, maintaining the facade of friendship while planning betrayal. Ambassador Walker continued to play his role perfectly. He attended meetings with Krex diplomats, discussed trade, agreements, and even invited them to Earth for cultural festivals. Every smile, every handshake, every friendly gesture was calculated to keep the Krex comfortable and unsuspecting. But in the shadows, humanity's agents were busy. They had infiltrated Krex supply lines, placing tracking devices on enemy ships. They had mapped every Krex base, every supply depot, every communication relay. When the time came, humanity would not be striking blindly. The Mars colony, publicly shown to be reducing its defenses, had actually turned the entire planet into a fortress. Underground cities had been built, connected by tunnels that ran for thousands of miles. The surface might look peaceful, but beneath it lay enough firepower to destroy a fleet. On the moon, what appeared to be mining operations were actually massive railgun installations. Each one could accelerate a projectile to near light speed. The Krex shields were designed for energy weapons and missiles. They had no defense against simple kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. Captain, Rodriguez received another coded message. She decoded it carefully and read the contents. In 1 month, humanity would reveal its true strength. The Krex thought they were predators stalking prey. They didn't realize they had walked into a trap that had been years in the making. All stations maintain silent running, Rodriguez ordered. Soon, we remind the galaxy why you don't threaten humanity. 2 weeks before the Krex planned attack, Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, Destiny's Claw. The massive vessel hung in space near Jupiter, surrounded by 40 other warships. His fleet was one of 5 positioned around the solar system, ready to strike simultaneously at Earth and its colonies. Commander, we're receiving a priority message from Earth, his communications officer announced, confusion in his voice. It's from General Stone of Earth Military Command. Vex's tentacles twitched in surprise. According to their intelligence, Stone was supposed to be retired, living quietly on Earth. Put it through, he ordered. Stone's face appeared on the main screen. He was not in retirement clothes, but in full military uniform, standing in what was clearly a command center. Behind him, displays showed ship positions, weapon systems, and strategic data that made Vex's blood run cold. Commander Vex, Stone began, his voice calm and professional. By now you've realized something is wrong. You're wondering how I'm broadcasting from a facility that shouldn't exist. You're wondering why your intelligence was so incorrect. Vex tried to respond, but Stone continued. Don't bother trying to send warnings to your other fleets. We've been jamming your quantum communications for the last hour. You're all alone out here. The bridge erupted in activity as Krex officers tried to establish contact with their other forces. Nothing worked. Their instantaneous communication network, the foundation of their empire, was silent. Impossible, Vex muttered. No species has ever blocked our quantum network. Stone smiled grimly. No species ever bothered to really study you before. We've had 5 years. We know your biology better than you know it yourselves. Right now, every Krex ship in the solar system is experiencing the same isolation. How does it feel, Commander, to be alone in your own mind for the first time? It was then that Vex felt it, or rather, didn't feel it. The constant background hum of the collective consciousness was gone. For a Krex, it was like suddenly going deaf and blind at the same time. Around him, his crew members struggled with the same disorientation. Now, let me show you something, Stone continued. The display behind him changed, showing a tactical map of the solar system. Red dots appeared, hundreds of them. These are our real military assets. Every dot is a fully armed warship. You thought we had 50 ships. We have over 2,000. Vex's tactical display confirmed it. Ships were appearing from nowhere, emerging from asteroids, from the dark side of moons, from sensor-invisible positions throughout the system. The human fleet outnumbered the Krex forces 4-1. But the treaty Vex started was a trap, Stone finished. We knew your plans before you made them. We'd been reading your encrypted communications for 3 years. Every move you've made, we've anticipated. Every weakness in your technology, we've studied. On Earth, the public was just learning the truth. President David Miller addressed the planet in an emergency broadcast. He revealed the Krex's planned betrayal, showing intercepted communications that proved their intentions. He revealed humanity's secret preparations. The shock was immense, but it quickly turned to anger and determination. "We offered genuine peace," Miller said to his billions of viewers. "A plan to enslave us. Now they will learn why humanity has survived every challenge in our history." Back in space, Captain Rodriguez received the activation signal. All around the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet powered up their weapons. The Thunderstrike emerged from its asteroid shell, its weapons ports opening like the eyes of a predator waking from sleep. "Commander Vex," Stone continued his transmission, "you have two choices: surrender unconditionally or be destroyed. Your ship's navigation systems have been compromised by the software we gave you. Your shields are calibrated for the wrong weapon frequencies because we fed you false data. Your positions are surrounded. You cannot win." Vex looked at his tactical display in despair. Every advantage they thought they had was gone. The humans hadn't just prepared for war, they had orchestrated every detail of this moment. The prey had become the predator. "How?" Vex asked. "How did you know to prepare before we even arrived?" Stone's expression softened slightly. "Because we've been watching the stars for a very long time, Commander. We saw you coming years before you arrived. We watched you conquer the Zilani. We saw what you did to the Proxima colonies. We knew what you were the moment you entered our sensor range. We tried to offer real peace," Stone added, "but you chose deception. Now face the consequences of underestimating humanity." Asterisk, the first shot wasn't fired by either fleet. It came from Earth's moon, a railgun installation. Hidden beneath the lunar surface, launched a tungsten rod at 90% the speed of light. The projectile was barely 3 meters long, but at that velocity, it carried the kinetic energy of a nuclear weapon. It struck the Krex battleship Pride of Krexia, punching through its shields like they were paper and breaking the ship in half. That was the signal. Across the solar system, humanity's forces struck simultaneously. Captain Rodriguez gave the order, and the Thunderstrike's main guns opened fire. Plasma beams, configured specifically to penetrate Krex shielding, lanced through space. 3 enemy frigates exploded in brilliant fireballs. Near Mars, the hidden fortress revealed itself. Massive doors opened in the planet's surface, and silos that had been built in absolute secrecy launched their payloads. Thousands of smart missiles, each equipped with AI guidance systems, swarmed toward the Krex fleet stationed there. Commander Vex watched in horror as his tactical display showed disaster after disaster. His fleets weren't just being defeated, they were being systematically destroyed. The humans had planned for every contingency, exploited every weakness. "Return fire," he ordered desperately. "All weapons, concentrate on their lead ships." The Krex weapons fired, but something was wrong. Their targeting systems, infected by the human virus, were feeding false data. Shots went wide, missiles flew off course. The few hits they achieved were absorbed by human shields that had been specifically calibrated to counter Krex weapons in the asteroid belt. Humanity's ghost fleet emerged fully. 200 ships had been hiding there, but as they powered up and linked their systems, they revealed something extraordinary. They weren't just individual ships. They were components of a larger weapon system. Dr. Harper, watching from his deep ocean facility, activated the quantum field disruptor at full power. Every Krex in the solar system screamed as their connection to the hive mind wasn't just blocked, it was turned into a source of agony. The quantum entanglement in their cells, reversed and amplified, sent waves of pain through their nervous systems. "Sir, they're trying to retreat," Lieutenant Bradley reported to General Stone. "Activate the gate trap," Stone ordered. The Krex had arrived through hyperspace gates they had positioned at the edge of the solar system. Now, as their surviving ships fled toward these escape routes, they discovered humanity's final surprise. Human ships were already there, having used a stolen and improved version of Krek's jump drive technology. The retreating Krek ships emerged from hyperspace directly into a kill zone. Human vessels, positioned in perfect formation, opened fire immediately. It was a massacre, but humanity wasn't just winning through superior tactics and technology. They were winning through understanding their enemy's psychology. The Kreks, cut off from their hive mind, couldn't coordinate. They couldn't adapt. Each ship captain, alone in their thoughts for the first time, made panicked decisions. Some surrendered immediately. Others fought suicidally. A few tried to ram human ships. The organized, efficient Krek's military machine had become chaos. On Earth, the population watched the battle through news feeds. The fear of the past months transformed into something else: pride, determination, and a grim satisfaction. Humanity had been pushed toward extinction many times in its history. Each time, it had survived through cunning, cooperation, and sheer stubborn refusal to give up. Ambassador Walker, still maintaining his diplomatic role, sent a message to the Krek's homeworld. It would take weeks to arrive through normal space, but its content was crucial. To the Krek's empire, he said calmly, "You came to our system with false friendship and hidden conquest. You found a species that has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and our own worst nature. We offered you peace. You chose war. Now you face the consequences. Humanity is not a conquered species. We are the children of survivors, the descendants of those who refused to surrender. We are the species that turned atomic fire into power, that reached for the stars despite the darkness, that chose to hope even when hope seemed foolish. Your fleets in our system are defeated. Your technology is compromised. Your tactics are known. We give you one chance. Never return to human space. Never threaten another species with your false treaties. Or we will come for you. Commander." Vex, floating in an escape pod after his flagship was destroyed, listened to this message. For the first time in Krek's history, he felt something his species had never known: fear of a supposedly inferior species. The battle was ending. Of the 200 Krek ships that had entered the solar system, only 12 survived to surrender. Humanity had lost just 7 vessels. 6 months after the battle, Earth had become the center of a new galactic reality. The defeated Krek ships, now under human control, had revealed something unexpected: data about dozens of other species living under Krek's oppression. Humanity's. Victory had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. General Stone stood in the newly constructed Galactic Relations Center on Earth's moon. Representatives from 15 different species had arrived in the past month, all seeking alliance with the humans who had done the impossible, defeated the Krek's Empire's main invasion fleet. "The Zelani delegation is here, sir," Major Park informed him. "They're asking how humanity developed the quantum disruptor." Stone smiled slightly. "Tell them we'll share the technology, but only with species that commit to mutual defense. We're not going to arm potential future enemies." The truth was, humanity's victory had changed everything. The Krek's Empire, suddenly vulnerable without their main fleet, was facing rebellions on multiple worlds. Species that had been enslaved for centuries saw opportunity in the chaos, and they all looked to Earth for leadership. President Miller addressed the United Nations, which had now become the United Terran Government. "We stand at a crossroads," he said. "We can become conquerors like the Kreks, or we can become something better. I propose we choose the harder path, building a coalition of free species." The captured Commander Vex had become an unexpected asset. Cut off permanently from the hive mind by humanity's quantum disruptor, he had experienced something no Kreks ever had: individual consciousness and free will. The transformation had been profound. "My species doesn't understand independence," Vex explained to human psychologists studying him. "For millions of years, We've thought as one. But you've shown us something we never imagined, the strength that comes from individuals choosing to work together. Dr. Harper had made another discovery while studying Krex technology. There, hyperspace gates could be modified to create stable wormholes. Humanity could now travel instantly to any point in the galaxy. The universe had suddenly become much smaller. Captain Rodriguez, promoted to admiral, commanded humanity's first expeditionary fleet. Her mission: visit the worlds oppressed by the Krex and offer them support. Not conquest, but genuine help. It was a radical concept in galactic politics. The Krex way was to conquer and absorb, Rodriguez explained to her crew. Our way will be different. We'll offer protection, share technology, and build partnerships. We'll show the galaxy that strength doesn't require oppression. On Earth, the secret war preparations were finally revealed to the public in full detail. Museums were built to showcase the hidden fleets, the secret bases, the years of preparation. Children learned about the patience and foresight that had saved humanity. The lesson was clear: peace through strength, preparedness through vigilance. The Krex homeworld, expecting human invasion, instead received a different message. Ambassador Walker, traveling on a ship equipped with the new wormhole drive, arrived with an offer. Surrender your empire, he said to the Krex ruling council. Free your subject species. Share your technology. In return, we'll help you transform your society. You can evolve beyond the hive mind, discover individuality, and join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors. It was an offer that shocked everyone, including many humans. Why show mercy to an enemy that had planned humanity's enslavement? Walker had an answer. Because we're better than them, he said simply. And the only way to prove it is to act like it. The transformation wasn't easy. Many Krex couldn't adapt to individual consciousness and chose to remain in controlled hive mind clusters. But others, especially the younger generation, embraced the change. They discovered art, music, and personal relationships, things impossible in a true hive mind. Within a year, the Galactic Freedom Alliance was formed. Earth was its capital, but it was a democracy of species. The Solani, the Proxima colonies, even reformed Krex colonies, all had equal voice. The galaxy was entering a new age. General Stone, in his final speech before retirement, reflected on humanity's journey. We knew the treaty was never peace. We knew the Krex planned betrayal. But we also knew something they didn't, that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our cunning. It's our ability to unite when threatened, to sacrifice for each other, and to extend mercy even to our enemies. We came prepared for war, but we also came prepared for what comes after. Building is harder than destroying. Peace is harder than war, but we're human. We do the hard things. The stars, once filled with the threat of conquest, now held the key. Promise of exploration and friendship. Humanity had not just survived, it had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. The treaty had been a lie, but from that deception, a greater truth had emerged. The universe was better with humanity. In it, the species that had nearly been enslaved had become the liberators. Earth, the planet marked for conquest, had become the beacon of freedom. Humanity had known. Humanity had prepared. And humanity had won.